Hello, everyone, and welcome to your June astrology forecast. Hi, Stephanie. How are you this month?
Hey, Laura. I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Same. It's Gemini season, lots of news stories, lots of buzzing in the mind. Today is a new moon in Gemini, so really glad and fortunate to be doing this with you again.
Yes, it's my favorite time of the month, and I think this is the perfect time for us to highlight important stories and educate and share knowledge with others. So thank you for tuning in.
And thank you all for your lovely comments. We are humbled by the love that you've been showing us. So thank you.
Truly, truly.
Okay, so a little bit of a May recap. Um, the one that really stood out to me was on May 6th, Rodney Hinton Jr. was he allegedly unalived a police officer who unalived his son. I don't know if it was that specific police
It
officer.
wasn't.
It wasn't, right?
No.
Right. But he allegedly unalived a police officer after having to sit through watching his son be unalived by coppers. And I thought this was interesting because that was the day that Mars left its post shadow at 6 degrees of Leo. And that brought us back to December 4th of 2024 when Luigi Mangione allegedly unalived the United Healthcare CEO, and Mars was sitting at that degree of 6 degrees of Leo. And their stories are very similar.
They're incredibly similar, except Rodney is not getting any news coverage. And I think that is something that really deserves attention because for weeks now, I have been Googling his name to see if there's any updates. And then, like, it just keeps populating with the same news stories. And it's like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, no major media outlets are reporting updates on his case. The
Mhm.
last news that came out was when he had that bond hearing, and there were
Mhm.
like 30 or 40 cops that showed up to intimidate him.
Yes.
And it just makes you really wonder about not only like anti-blackness in the world and in these like oppressive systems, but also the police's influence on media.
Hmm. And also the fact that it's in the sign of Leo, right? These two men becoming famous for their alleged crimes. But because Luigi is a white man at the end of the day, they kind of glorified him with this pretty privilege, right? And so they kept reporting on him. And there's all these fan pages about Luigi. And we saw Rodney Hinton Jr. like 1 week of the news cycle and he disappeared, like you mentioned.
And there was outpouring and support for both of them. And like across the board, people were empathizing and understanding with both their alleged actions. And I think that that is just really poignant.
Yeah. On May 8th, we have a new pope dropped. And I thought this was
That
interesting because,
he dropped, yes.
no, because my parents were watching like legacy news and they kept the cameras on the curtain where the pope like shows up. And I'm like, are we waiting for like a record to be dropped? Like,
Hmm.
the spectacle of it. And I just thought this was also interesting given that the Pope is Pope Leo. Again, like it's after Mars went direct in the sign of Leo. And also the North Node of the United States Sibley chart is at 6 degrees of Leo, which I also thought was interesting. And this is the first Pope from the Americas. He was born in Chicago. So there was like all these synchronicities that I just paid attention to.
That's interesting. I didn't know about that. I literally only paid attention to his name. I was like, yes, Leo, King. And then I learned that he doesn't care for the LGBTQIA community. And I was like, ew, hate you.
It's like none of them ever do. It's
I
so
know, but the last one
like
was a little bit better.
a little bit
But
better.
but yeah. Anyways.
but they both called for a ceasefire in Gaza.
We'll give him that.
We'll give
Thank
them
you.
that.
Thank
We'll
you.
give them that. But God forbid people love who they want to love.
I know. Jeez.
On May 12th, on the full moon in Scorpio, this was the same day that Mercury in Taurus was square Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. This was really when the Diddy trial started to become public. And this is when Cassie Ventura, who was Diddy's ex, was revealing all of these horrible, horrific, traumatic, triggering stories of I don't even think freak offs is the right term.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just hours and hours and days of abuse.
Yep. And human trafficking.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, with Mercury being the planet of revealing, communication, news, squaring to Pluto, which can reveal abuse stories. And a full moon, a
Mm-hmm.
revelation in Scorpio, right? So I didn't really look into Diddy's or Cassie's like natal charts or anything, but I just thought that that was interesting that it started coming out on that day.
Absolutely.
On May 14th or May 15th, is the days around is not real solar return. May 14th is their Independence Day. And May 15th is the Nakba or the catastrophe when 700,000 Palestinians were displaced from their homeland. And this is also when the news stories came out that Gaza had not had food, water, or aid since March. And so for 80 days. And I don't know if you probably saw the videos circulating with babies essentially dying and unable to cry because they are starving to death, essentially.
Their faces were sunken in, their eyes were pits, their bones were protruding. And that's still going on. That's not
Mm-hmm.
something that has stopped. But yeah, there's more media attention around the fact that Israel had not let aid in
Mm-hmm.
for, gosh, almost 3 months. And that includes baby formula,
Yep.
water, like gas to make fires,
Mm-hmm.
to cook.
And you know, is Israel's a Taurus sun, and Uranus, the Sun Uranus conjunction was forming in this conjunction about like 10 days later. And I just thought, how can this Sun Uranus conjunction like manifest with all of the things that are going on? And I think it's just, I would hope the awakening effect of Uranus and what Israel has been doing, because Taurus, I think of like food comes from earth and it's everyone's human right to have food and water. And I just was hoping that that would be the thing that wakes people up.
It's your senses, you know, how you nourish yourself. Yeah. And your connection with nature and sustenance. And I really do think we've been talking about this, that there has been another wave of collective shift, and may it continue.
Yes. We have watched it unfold for how many months now? And whoever joins in, welcome.
Welcome to the
Welcome
conversation.
to the conversation.
Yes.
Glad you're finally here.
You can choose differently any day.
Any day.
Yeah.
On May 16th, this is like a massive vibe shift, but Venus was finally out of its post shadow. And on that day, it was revealed that around February, Blake Lively was witness tampering with Taylor Swift. And this was the pre shadow of the Venus and Mercury retrograde. I don't know if you remember that. And the fact that this came out on the post shadow of the rift between these besties, I just thought was very interesting with the timing.
Amazing. I can't stand either of them. I'm not a Swiftie. I have not been a Swiftie for a very long time. I left after 1989. I loved it. And that was my grand finale.
Oh wow, you left after 1989. I
Yeah.
left only like 2 years ago. I was
Yeah.
an ex-Swiftie.
Something just started. I still like the bangers. I like the classics. I don't like really have them in rotation anymore, but something shifted for me after 1989. I just wasn't a fan. I don't know.
Wow.
Hmm.
I'm even surprised that you were a fan.
Yeah. You know, a Leo. I'm a pop girly at heart. Yeah.
Damn, she has such good bangers.
Hmm.
Um, so, I think with this Venus retrograde, a lot of relationships shifted, friendships might have broken up, and just seeing that play out was just interesting on that day.
Literal.
Literal. The same day, the Nottoway plantation in Louisiana burned down to the ground. And this will bring you back to the last time, like 1859 was when it was built. This was 2 years before Neptune ingressed into the sign of Aries in the Civil War. And Uranus was at the same like area of the sky.
Mm.
Wild, right?
It was a busy day for Louisiana.
It really was.
There was
Because
so much going on.
the prison break,
Hmm.
we were just talking about how allegedly they're all Geminis.
Which is iconic and makes so much sense. That is the power of Gemini, building community,
Yes.
right?
They were like, we need to get out of here before our birthday.
Yeah, I
There's
know.
something better to do.
I hope they are celebrating in comfort and, yeah, have a roof over their head somewhere.
Yes, abolish the prison industrial complex.
Whoop whoop.
And have you heard about Annabelle the doll?
I heard all this stuff was happening in Louisiana, but please update us.
So apparently, Annabelle the doll is this haunted doll. It
Mm,
looks like Raggedy Ann.
mm,
And the owner of this doll said, whatever you do, do not move this doll from its museum, its place in like Connecticut or something.
ooh,
And of course, what do? They bring it
mm,
on tour.
mm,
They brought it to New Orleans or New Orleans. I don't know how you pronounce that. And on that same day is when the plantation burned down and the prison break in Louisiana. So there's like
mm.
some lore around Annabelle the doll. And I just think this is so funny because people are grasping at straws at this point for these like omens because they're like, something has to give.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, please bring it to DC. And the latest update on Annabelle is they lost the doll.
No, no, they
Yeah,
didn't. Laura,
it did.
what do you mean? Who lost the doll?
Like
Where?
I saw the video like yesterday.
Where is the doll? In what city?
Somewhere in Washington, D.C., I think was the last I heard. Yeah. So um Nottoway Plantation was also the largest antebellum house. And this was also where about 200 enslaved people worked and died. And then they turned it into a resort where people had weddings.
It was a
So
wedding venue.
it was a wedding venue. So I think it deserved to burn down. I think it's in alignment with the Saturn and Neptune ingress into Aries. Like some things just need to burn.
Some things just need to burn. Yeah, I saw some post that was like, you can't decolonize everything. Some things just
Mhm.
need to burn. And yeah,
Yes. And do you have any other news stories that come to your mind?
honestly, not at this moment because I am news overloaded. I feel like every second of the day, it's just like nonstop. But those are
Yes.
amazing highlights.
Yes. And that was only for like half the month.
Right.
Um, so shall we go into June?
Let's get into it.
Okay. Are we excited about June? What's the general vibe?
I feel like there really are some bright spots and moments of excitement. And then there's going to be some moment of retraction and a little disappointment as well. But I do think that there are moments to look forward to.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Because I had a less positive view.
What do you think? What do you think?
I feel like so many people are burnt out, and Saturn in Pisces was so much suffering and disappointments, I think globally and personally. And it's like right away in June, we're going to get another set of Saturn Jupiter squares. And of course, that's energy that we can work with, but it's just like,
Yeah. No, that is very true.
yeah. But you know, I'm always positive, so let's get into it.
Uh-huh.
On June 4th, Venus in Aries will sextile Jupiter in Gemini at 29 degrees.
I like this because it's kind of like a final little gift or a blessing before Jupiter changes signs and moves into Cancer. So
Mm-hmm.
we have the two benefics coming together, and they haven't been able to interact for a while. And this is a nice way to start out the month.
I agree. And they're both in their fall, right? Or detriment,
Mm,
sorry. And I think this is their last hurrah, their last gift. I
mhm.
see Venus and Aries as an activist placement. And then sextile to Jupiter in Gemini is disseminating information, asking questions.
Absolutely.
So use this transit wisely.
It would be a great time to share your lived experience or to help shift and broaden someone else's understanding or perspective of a situation or the world. Um, it's a great moment for connection and building deeper and meaningful relationships. If you are focused on building community or getting involved on a local level, it's a great time to come together and really see momentum and positive change around community and relationship building.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I also love the sextile relationship between Aries and Gemini personally.
It's fun, it's flirty.
It's very fun and flirty.
A good day to take a risk too.
Mm-hmm. It's a little unhinged and chaotic, but I think we need more of that
That's what
in our
makes it fun. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Then very next day on June 5th, Mercury in Gemini will sextile Mars in Leo at 23 degrees.
I feel like this is also similar energy, but this gives you courage with your words and your mind. So it can give you that confidence to finally like enact on a plan or to follow through. And it can also help you take risks that you wouldn't be, or say something that normally you wouldn't say if you want to speak your mind. This is a great
Yes.
day to do it.
Yes. See something, say something,
Mm.
and be bold about it. Mars and Leo, I feel, well, you have Mars and Leo. Do you feel bold and courageous?
Sometimes. Sometimes I feel like a cowardly lion. Depends, but I try
Well,
to be bold.
how do you channel that? Do you just do it while you're
Yes.
scared?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. The same day, Venus enters Taurus, which is nice. I feel
Mm.
like this is a nice domicile placement.
Yes. We are finally getting some relief for Venus, who has been traveling through Aries for quite some time, dealing with a retrograde. And now Venus is in one of its favorite zodiac signs. So
Mhm.
this can bring a little bit more stability to your
Mhm.
emotional relationships, to your creative ideas. It can help reconnect you with pleasure in the present moment, finding that joy, making sure you are creating space for you to experience joy despite the ongoing genocides and horrific atrocities in our country and around the world. This is how you can recharge, is by connecting with your desires and tuning into the present moment as well.
Mhm. Taurus is a very slow moving sign, and Venus is about sensuality and worth. I think part of our resistance is to also divest from the systems and not give the system any more of our money or time or attention. So I see resistance in this moment to be also to pay attention to our own well being and our own communities with resting and just disengaging from these platforms organizations that just don't value human life.
Yes, that's so important. And that made me think about how Venus is also associated with our finances
Mhm.
and values in that way. And so this would be a great time to educate yourself on boycotting, divestment, and sanctions.
Mhm.
Um, you don't have to be perfect, but you can start somewhere. I have been boycotting Target and Amazon since I think February, and it has been way easier than I thought it
Mhm.
would be.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you can just take it day by day. And it's about divestment ultimately. So if you're not able to do the full boycott, like we live in capitalism, it's okay. But taking small, tiny steps, like being mindful, making sure you are living and embodying your values and spending your money in accordance with your values is also very Venus and Taurus.
Mhm. Yeah, like what you said, perfectionism is colonial. I think you said that in a previous forecast. And so you just do the best you can because not everybody can boycott Target because it's their only grocery store, right?
Mhm.
Or it's the only place that sells the specific thing that you need. But at least we can do our part in taking back our power and our money because they only care about our money.
Right.
Like I think that is the biggest way we can divest is with our dollars and start putting our money into the people, investing into people who are creating something better for our world.
Yes. And just one more thing about Target. And
Mhm.
because I used to be Target's biggest fan, I had my 16th birthday party in a Target. My friend popped out of a box. She came from LA and like was in a wrapped box and like popped out and I got pushed around in a cart on my 16th birthday. Anyways, I love Target, okay? After high school, I used to take the bus to Target and I would just sit there for
Yeah.
hours. Um, they use prison labor. So they use a modern form of enslavement to create most of their products in the store. So
Ugh.
if you are against enslavement, also consider not shopping at Target. It's not just they're backpedaling from DEI, there's
Mhm.
other layers as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
How horrible.
it is.
Okay, well, I haven't shopped in Target since that whole thing came out. And I'm like, wait, what was it that I even loved about that place? It did have a vibe, right? But it's
Oh,
like get all of that stuff somewhere else.
don't get me started. I loved it. It was my everything. It was my favorite place. I wrote my book in Target. Half of my book in a Target. Yeah. But
Wow.
no, no, no. Even this big
Yeah,
fan is saying no. So you can do it too.
you can do it too. I can't believe you had, well, I actually can't believe you had your birthday party there. And you're a loyal bitch.
I'm a loyal bitch. Hmm.
You know it has to be bad when you completely like shut it off like that.
Goodbye.
On June 8th, Mercury in Gemini will conjunct Jupiter in Gemini at 29 degrees. Okay, another gift from Mercury, possibly.
Hmm. Learning important news, exciting news, news that feels uplifting or expansive. How
Mhm.
it's this is interesting because we have Mercury in domicile, so thriving, but then we
Mhm.
have Jupiter in Gemini in detriment. I
Mhm.
would also wonder about the news that we're consuming this day.
Mhm.
Like, is there going to be fake news? Is there some sort of diversion? Is the media trying to have us focus on something else while some other big global event is taking place? I would just maybe read alternative news sources this day as well.
Yes. What I've noticed about the 29th anaretic degree in all of the transits is it's for me the crashing out degree. Like when Saturn was at 29 degrees for like a year,
Hmm.
I felt like I was crashing out constantly,
Tears, constant tears.
constantly
Hmm.
watching human suffering, just feeling like I'm suffering because I'm
Hmm.
feeling everything.
Hmm.
Um, so just be aware of that. Like this just could be people just feeling burnt out of the news and not being able to digest everything all at once.
Yes, and it could definitely give energy of like overdoing it and exhausting yourself, overthinking, maybe speaking so much that you lose your voice even. Like there's a lot of energy here and you can really wear yourself out. However, it is a powerful day for coming up with new ideas, making
Mhm.
progress on some of your goals, and in general there is that element of support.
Yes. On the same day, Mercury will then enter Cancer.
What do you think about when Mercury's in Cancer? I don't like it. I'm biased because it's my 12th house.
I think Mercury in the water signs is so interesting because it's more about observation
Mm,
than like speaking. I think people with Mercury and Cancers usually aren't as kind of like the Mercury and Earth signs too. It's like witnessing, observing, taking notes. Um, I think it could be a crybaby kind of energy,
hmm Yeah.
self-victimization. As you can see, I don't really love the energy of Cancer.
Yeah, I think it in
Saying all the
Cancer.
bad things.
No, but I think when it's in Cancer in particular, it's ruled by the moon.
Mhm.
So you're making decisions, the way you're thinking, your thoughts, your feelings, they're changeable during
Yeah.
this period. So, and you're going to be reacting and making decisions based on your emotions, which are changing every couple of days. So, it just feels like a little bit more instability, you know? Your thoughts might be a little bit more emotional. You might be a little bit more sentimental or focusing on the past,
Taking things
um,
personally.
taking things personally. But your intuition can definitely be heightened, which is kind of a benefit during this time. But don't assume that everyone can read your mind, which I think happens a lot of the time when Mercury moves through the water signs.
Yes. Also, like passive aggressiveness.
Mm.
Like,
Hmm.
you're like, are you mad at me?
Yeah. 100%.
The very next day, Mercury in Cancer will square Saturn in Aries at 1 degree. This will be the first time during the transit.
I just hate this.
Yeah, this is rough.
In these two signs, like, yeah, Mercury square Saturn is always like bummer, but for some reason in the cardinal signs of Cancer and Aries, it just feels even more
Mhm.
annoying,
Yes.
disappointing, discouraging.
Hmm.
It's like you were wanting to make progress and there's some sort of speed bump that's holding you back or setback, and it is emotionally triggering. You know, it's not
Hmm.
just annoying, it's like it feels personal, like you were saying.
Yeah. And restrictive and just
Mm.
like, um, yeah, it feels not so good. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel good, is I don't know. Maybe I'm channeling the Cancer energy, but um, what are some positive manifestations of this?
Okay. Good. Thanks for leading us
None?
there. No, there are. This would be a great time to focus on a tedious task.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is something annoying, it can give you that um, commitment to get a
Mm-hmm.
specific project done that's kind of annoying or tedious. This
Yeah.
might prompt you to discuss boundaries or expectations in your relationships. And that might be uncomfortable because that's the energy of the day, but ultimately it can lead to a better foundation for your future and
Mm.
that connection.
Yeah. Because squares are annoying
Hmm.
generally, but if you can work with the energy, it is a breakthrough. It is a change. It's an activation.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just when you were talking about boundaries, I was thinking of like having a difficult conversation with a parent.
Yes. Yes. Or a family member, or primary caregiver. Absolutely.
How much you hurt me.
Hmm.
Yep. On the same day, Venus in Taurus will square Pluto in Aquarius at 3 degrees. Okay, this is like a very interesting day, June 9th. I'm just looking at all the transits.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Should we? Okay. Let's just say the rest of them.
Okay. Then we have Jupiter enters Cancer.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then the same day, Mercury in Cancer will square Neptune in Aries at 1 degree.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we have all of this happening on June 9th.
Yes.
So I feel like with Mercury forming a square to Saturn and Neptune, plus the Venus square Pluto, that is very much like conflict in your close relationships. But
Hmm.
conflict isn't always bad, and it
Yes.
can be helpful. It can be
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Hmm.
With that Neptune square, there might be an element of you reacting based on some of your fears or your insecurities or anxieties. Maybe you're not having the most productive conversations in this moment. But Venus square Pluto is going to help you be raw and vulnerable and really speak your truth and give life to your shadow side,
Yes.
addressing power struggles. And then, wow, Jupiter entering Cancer in the backdrop. I mean,
Wow. So that actually is a day that everybody should pay attention to because these are cardinal signs. Jupiter's ingress into Cancer is a world point.
mhm,
And the last time this happened was June 25th, 2013 to July 16th, 2014. So that was as like 12 years ago.
mhm.
It's a 1 year transit. So Jupiter will expand your Cancer whole sign house and it will stay here until June 30th, 2026.
Yeah. And Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. So that means, if Jupiter is all about abundance and growth and our beliefs and our dreams, we're able to experience those themes and topics with a little extra luck and support because it is quote unquote exalted. However, in the very beginning of this transit, and from a whole sign perspective, this transit will be experiencing a whole sign overcoming square from Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries. Um, and for any astro newbies out there, you're like, WTF, please translate. It just means that Jupiter Cancer in Cancer is kind of getting a little bit of a beat down
Mm-hmm.
from Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So it's kind of restricting and limiting that growth and positivity that we should and, have access to.
Mm-hmm.
Which can I just interject? As
Please.
a as a natal Jupiter in Cancer, I'm like, I waited 12 years for my next Jupiter return, and this is my Jupiter return. I'm like, this blows.
Yeah.
I'll report live and I'll have gone through my Jupiter return by our next forecast. So I'll let you all
Oh
know
my
how it
goodness.
goes. But
Wow. We're witnessing in real time
hmm
Stephanie's Jupiter return.
yeah.
Hmm. I feel like this transit it feels like the pearl that grows with the grit of sand. It's like something beautiful is trying to manifest, but it's like that annoying grit there that has to be there,
hmm
but it's like annoying.
Yeah. I think on a mundane astrological level too, it just brings up ideological wars and battles about homeland and ancestry and people's roots.
Yes.
So that's what that combination of energy kind of feels like as well,
Mhm.
which is no surprise. We're seeing the makings of World War III unfold before our eyes. So
Are we? I'm just kidding. It was like new fear unlocked.
yeah.
I was like, wait, what? But you know, Jupiter ultimately is the greater benefic and it
hmm
is exalted in Cancer. So Jupiter is on its throne. So I was saying to all of my clients that this is the one transit to like focus your attention on. Because you know, let's like focus on the one thing at least that could go right with our life.
Once it
Possibly.
Yes, and that's very true. That's very true. Okay. Because truly once it passes that,
Square.
once it that square and it gets a few degrees away, it we're going to feel the benefits of it. it
Yes.
won't be as intense at all.
Mhm. And I did like an analysis of Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan's charts, like their natal charts. If you didn't know, Ryan Coogler is the director of the movie Sinners,
Hmm.
and they both have Saturn square Jupiter natally in their charts.
Oh,
And so I think what this configuration does for people is that because it's a square, right? So it is that grit that people and the challenges that if you have the fortitude and the perseverance to keep going no matter what, you will become successful because now in the most recent Saturn Jupiter square, right? Because Saturn was in Pisces, Jupiter was in Gemini. Now look at them. They have this really amazing film that they just put out into the world.
hmm.
So it's like if you can just hold on tight and hold the vision, and because Saturn wants you to commit to something, because
Yes,
it's like locking it in, and you're not gonna, it's not like immediate gratification.
totally. It could feel like a temporary test of your faith and your dreams, but the rewards are coming if you keep going.
Yes. Do we feel good about June 9th? Should we
Mm,
move on?
we should move on. Yeah.
Okay.
Forget it in the past.
June 11th is the full moon in Sagittarius at 21 degrees.
Yeah, this full moon I like because it's not squared Neptune, and every single full moon in Sag for like eons, I feel like has been square Neptune. So I like that. That's a shift.
Mhm.
Might also feel like a little mini eclipse because it is happening at 21 degrees and the nodes are at 22 degrees of Virgo and Pisces. So even though it is nothing to do with the actual eclipses, this might mean that we're halfway through eclipse season. I think so.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, I know already.
Yikes.
Um, so decisions, information that you learn, conversations that you have in particular, because this is the axis of your voice and communication and information and education. Things you learn and talk about can feel a little bit more faded, as well as decisions you make or opportunities you receive. Um, this is in the third decan of Sagittarius, which is the Ten of Wands, which is like a little bit of exhausting energy, but also like a final boss moment. Like
Mhm.
you are walking towards your kingdom and,
Mhm.
about to lay down all of these wands that are on your back. Um, so it's like you're putting in the final steps, final hard work. What do you think?
Mhm. Yeah. And also, Mars is inching towards a square with Uranus. It
Uh,
does feel fated in some way because I learned in astrology that when you have a planet in the nodes, like bending at the bendings,
mhm.
that's like a fated moment there. And full moons are about completion and revelation, manifestation, learning about something. Sagittarius is like belief systems, truth seeking, obviously the adventurer, philosopher, right? So there does seem to be this energy of revelation in some way, also with Mars squaring to Uranus.
Absolutely. Yeah. It'll be an interesting one. And the
Mhm.
ruler is going to be that Jupiter in Cancer that is going to square Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So again, there's this little bit of like expansion, pullback.
Mhm.
Your dreams are being tested. And that's kind of like Ten of Wands energy feels like you're like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I'm almost there, but I'm blipping exhausted. Like, when is this
Yeah.
over? Um, so yeah.
It's like you want to put down the wands, like you want to like release all of this pressure, but you're saying to yourself, just a little more, a couple more steps, we're
Mm-hmm.
almost there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the end of like a backpacking journey when you're dirty and you haven't showered and you're like, we're almost there though.
Yeah. 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 I think it'll definitely be a big news day. So tune in.
Mhm. And I just can't help but think that this is very close to the orange Cheetos, like natal Gemini sun and his natal Sag moon. He was born on an eclipse, a lunar eclipse in Sag.
Hmm.
So just interesting.
Oh yeah, we have a transit coming up where I want to talk about the Cheeto in a couple of,
Okay.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay. I can't help but like talk about the Cheeto because there is something about Geminis in that deacon, the third deacon of Sagittarius, which I looked up is it's like the media mogul and the military leader. And there's something about them though that make them very alluring. Like you
Mm.
can't help but feel galvanized by them. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just saying his ability to get people's attention and it works because I think about him a lot.
Yeah, the charisma.
Yes.
Hmm.
Like if he wasn't like such a dictator and a terrible person, he is also funny.
Oh, the shit that comes out of his mouth. You're like, what? I
Yes.
made up the word groceries. It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, like he could be a comedian, right? If he wasn't running the country,
Yes.
but it's like, no, it's
Yes.
horrifying because
It's
he's
horrifying.
harming and murdering people all over this country on his behalf. But yeah, the shit that comes out of his mouth, it's like, what? What?
Yes. Which is also like an interesting study of just archetypes because he just chose in this lifetime to play the role of a terrible person, but with those same energies, he could have been this magnificent, inspiring leader because he does have a pretty remarkable chart.
Yeah.
Get out of my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the same day, Mercury in Cancer will sextile Venus in Taurus at 5 degrees.
I think this brings a little bit of positive and like a soft landing to the full moon as well. So I would say, in general, this is nice to have in the backdrop. It's great for having productive conversations, again, for organizing and coming together with others, for learning lucky news, for expressing yourself,
Mhm.
sharing your feelings with someone else, telling them you love them or appreciate them, just having a good time with people that you care about, or even learning about like a creative contract or something like that, something
Mhm.
that involves your creative mind.
Mhm. This is if somebody had a love language for food, you can make somebody food, or like a love
Yes,
language for touch or sensual words or affirmations. This is like that energy.
absolutely. I love that.
On June 15th, Mars and Leo will square Uranus and Taurus at 28 degrees, conjunct Regulus. Ooh,
Yes. So
okay.
I know. So this reminds me of Cheeto.
Mm-hmm.
I believe his is he a 29-degree Leo rising or is he 28-degree Leo rising? It doesn't matter. One of
I think
those,
29.
right? So this Mars Uranus square is happening directly on his ascendant. I believe this is the day of his stupid military parade, whatever I,
Mm-hmm.
right? Isn't he having some parade?
Is he? I don't
Yeah,
know.
on his birthday. I've read
Oh,
headlines that he like on his birthday is having some sort of like military parade.
oh, like Kim Jong Un, like
Uh,
he's just trying to be this like weird dictator.
Something like that. Yes, yes. And that feels very Mars Uranus.
Mhm.
But what is also interesting is last year around his birthday was the Mars Uranus conjunction. And that
Right,
was when he was allegedly shot at.
right.
And um, yeah, it's interesting because Mars and Leo will be conjunct Regulus, which is a fixed star. It is a royal star. And it's a star of protection. And it is what a lot of astrologers kind of point to, especially when they look at the Cheetos chart. They're like, he has this strong Regulus aspect, which makes him quote unquote untouchable in a lot of ways, or could be one of the things that um, So, yeah, this in particular, just the degrees of it, the fixed star that is involved, it just is giving Cheeto vibes. And I feel like some big developments may take place around this time. And on a personal level, just ew. That's my recap. Um, I hate this energy. I'm staying inside. Joey will not be going on a bike ride this day.
Mm,
We're all staying inside.
hmm and he has a midheaven in Taurus at like 26 or 24 degrees. So yeah, I could see how that would be Cheeto energy. Um, yeah, this is like explosive,
Hmm.
accident prone energy. So
Earthquakes, natural
yes.
disasters.
And so if we're not saying to like put your head in the sand or whatever that saying is and just ignore this, but if you can just be careful on this day, to be
Right.
careful.
Right. Exactly. Live your life. You don't have to stay inside. I'm being dramatic because I'm a Leo, but you can exercise caution, right?
Yes.
Like if you're chopping veggies, pay closer attention. Like just little things like that.
But you have a personal planet here. So that's also why you are taking
Yeah.
extra care.
I've got a 29-degree Leo situation. So,
Yeah.
yes, I will be. That is why exactly. Good point.
That's why you are.
Yeah.
So if these are hitting your personal placements, you might want to just like chill.
Take a sick
Yeah.
day. Drink water, have some tea. Yeah.
Yes.
Touch grass.
Yes. And on the same day, Jupiter in Cancer will square Saturn in Aries at 1 degree. This is the final Jupiter Saturn square, but in new signs. So
Yeah.
yeah, the same day there's a square, another square. So
Interesting. Yeah, and that's again, Jupiter's expansion, Saturn is retraction and limitation. So there's just this it's like a growing pains, like the growth
Mhm.
process, right? Because Saturn and Jupiter, when they come together, it is about building. Like you see a
Mhm.
lot of iconic figures that have Jupiter Saturn conjunctions or like in positive aspects with one another. And this is that square. So it's that moment of tension where you are building something.
Yeah, and that Saturn in Aries is speaking to that Mars in Leo. So they're all kind of like communicating with each other.
Oh, you're right. Mm.
Um, yeah, this is like activation day. You
Mm.
might get triggered, just an FYI. On June 17th, for what felt like eons, Mars will enter Virgo finally.
Woo! OMG. I can't believe it. Even though I have an early degree Virgo moon, I'm still like, bring it on. Yes, I can't wait. It has been way too long since September of 2024, to be exact. We've either been
Mhm.
in Cancer or Leo. And this is, I can't believe it. I can't believe that we are here. We've been talking about this moment, I feel like, since 2023. We've been looking at this
Mhm.
Mars retrograde, like prepping.
Mhm. So some Mars in Virgo significations. Virgo is the sign of health, paying attention to the details. It is the editor, the writer, the medicine woman, the healer, the priestess. And so when Mars is in Virgo, you can be thinking about your health, your body, eating better, your wellness routine, going to the doctor for checkups, just being more active in that realm of your life.
Changing your habits. It is the small little habits that you put off changing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's actually going to change your life and bring you closer to your dreams rather than you like making a drastic move across the country or whatever you think. Like it's the tiny little things.
Yeah.
That's what makes Virgo so magical. Um, and I think doing little things with intention is a way to work with this energy. Um, to make more to boost your co-creation abilities and manifestation abilities, like when you're cleaning, imagine clearing out a certain thought, or when you're bathing, bathe with intention. When you're
Mm-hmm.
cooking, as you add ingredients, make sure you're associating with them with something you want to call in, whether it is peace in Palestine or more confidence or whatever. Like you can do that with your intention in your mind. Because this is Mars, right? I think we can see a lot of overthinking
Mm-hmm.
and more anxiety can kick up. So just being proactive with your grounding exercises and, like Laura said, focusing on your wellness is going to be key.
Mm-hmm. Like spiraling out
Mm-hmm.
energy
Mm-hmm.
is Mars and Virgo. And I like what you said about taking small little actions. I'm so like not good at that. I'm so drastic. I'm like, let's move across country.
It's fire sign energy. We want it now. I am the same way. I have fire stellium. Like I get it. And then I have this Virgo side of me that's like, just start doing 5 squats every day, at least,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
Yes. Yeah. Mars and Virgo is like the opposite of all or nothing energy. It's like
mm-hmm,
the little things matter and add up.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
June 18th, Jupiter in Cancer will square Neptune in Aries at 1 degree.
Confusing, exhausting. This can also feel like a test of faith, your dreams,
Mhm.
and it can, yeah, just feel confusing. We're not really sure what's the truth. I would look out for misinformation. Um, and also a great day to drink extra water and listen to your body. Try not to overdo it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think this is a crisis of believing in the reality you are trying to co-create because I think Neptune in Pisces was what is my dream? And Neptune in Aries is I'm making my dream a reality and taking action towards it. And so this is like if this is the first like official square to Jupiter in Cancer, which is also about growing something, this could be just a crisis of believing that that's possible.
Hmm.
I think this is positive personally.
Okay. Yes, yes.
Like
Tell
I
us.
think it's I think like I can't help but try to overemphasize the exaltation of Jupiter in Cancer and how it's like when you plant a seed, you're not going to see it grow in a day. You're not going to see like the little sprouts. But again, Neptune and Aries to me is creating something new. It's pioneering energy. It's very clear cut. Aries is very blunt. And so if there is this moment of, I don't know what I'm doing, because Neptune is confusion, you have to go back to your faith and this like overall imagination and dream that you have that, yes, it is possible.
I love that. And that also made me think of, even if there'll be some sort of collective news story around this time, and it may grip our hearts in a big way, and this could help spread more compassion through the collective. So
Mm-hmm.
even if there is something deeply upsetting that happens around this time, I think it can inspire hope and it can inspire us to stand up together.
Yes. I'm just thinking of Jupiter and Cancer and like mothers' rights and
Mm.
children. And, I mean, I don't know specific transit, but there's this woman named Adriana Smith, I think her name
I was
is,
just going to say the same thing.
and they're keeping her body alive, even though she's dead. Technically, she's brain dead, but she's 7 weeks pregnant and they're basically growing a baby in a corpse.
Yeah.
So I think this is like the obviously extreme example of Jupiter and Cancer square to Neptune and Aries. It's like, why? Like, this is not the imagination of somebody that is like healed. This is like white supremacy and some weird Handmaid's Tale agenda.
Yeah, I think it's important to name that she's a Black woman and they are using her body as an experiment.
Yes. Um, we do not claim that energy.
No.
So, Adriana Smith, I think, is her
Hmm.
name.
Hmm.
Uh, June 20th, the sun will enter Cancer and it will officially be the summer solstice.
Okay, longest day of the year. Here we come.
And
Um,
Cancer season.
yep, Cancer season.
Mhm.
Um, a great time to cry, a great time to connect with your chosen family,
Mhm.
if your family relationships and roots are difficult, like many of us have in our own ancestry, you can build and focus on nurturing relationships with your chosen family. A great time to reflect on the patterns and habits that you have that may have originated from your primary caregivers and to break cycles. Uh, Turning inward and reflecting on the past can also bring out some kernels of wisdom as
Mhm.
well.
Healing your own mother wound,
Mm-hmm.
reparenting yourself. I'm whenever I think of Cancer season, I think of Lana Del Rey's song "Summertime Sadness" because
Mm.
this is the part of the summer that's just so sad. I
Mm.
mean, you're talking to two fire rising signs, so Cancer is in our um the
Our
hidden
sad, our sad houses. Wah wah.
and are we both in our moon, the moon is our time lord?
Yes, until my
Yeah.
birthday. Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
It's rough having
oh,
the
you
moon as your
only
time lord.
wait, so you only have like three months left.
Yeah, I'm in my final stretch and I'm
Oh
ditching
man,
you. I'm leaving you.
I
Yeah.
just started mine and it's rough.
It's so rough. Oh my gosh. It really is like constant tears and like, yeah, feeling everything.
And being triggered by your mother. Yeah, that's what I'm experiencing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes, reflecting on those primary relationships. Mm-hmm.
Yes. But the summer solstice is a like revered time of year in so many different cultures around the world. So do some prayers or offer something to the land. Do something on that day to give thanks to the earth.
Yes. Perhaps look up whose land you're living on.
Oh, good one.
Native.ca. What is that website? I have it written here. Please hold.
I think it
And
is CA.
and
Yeah.
give some reparations back to
Mhm.
native-land.ca.
Mhm.
Yeah, give some reparations back to whoever's land you're living on.
I love that. I love that offering. On June 22nd, so June 22nd is another big day of transits. Mars in Virgo will sextile Jupiter in Cancer at 2 degrees. Should I just like keep talking?
Mm.
Keep going. Sun in Cancer will square to Saturn in Aries. And then the Sun in Cancer will square to Neptune in Aries.
Mm.
Sun
Interesting.
square Saturn, Sun square Neptune, and Mars will sextile Jupiter in Cancer.
Yeah, I think that the squares to the sun, they're going to bring us back to June 15th when Jupiter met with Saturn, and then June 18th when Neptune met with when Jupiter met with Neptune. So there's
Mhm.
some continuation to stories and thoughts and feelings from around that time. And again, like we had talked about, that can be a moment of growth or growing pains or uh, kind of a reality check on your
Yeah.
goals and your dreams and what is possible and maybe what you need to pivot or reprioritize.
Mhm.
I think that Mars Jupiter sextile is lovely.
Mhm. Yes. Lovely. Um, and what I'm thinking about with like Cancer season also is about memories from the past and could be familial. And then having it be square to Saturn in Aries is like, wait, what is your filial duty? What is your responsibility to your family of kin? Um,
Mm.
like are there boundaries that you could set in place? I feel like I'm just speaking of like what I know about these activations that I've personally experienced,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you come from a culture that is I guess, more collective in nature,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is every culture besides American culture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like you are taught that blood is thicker than water and you have to do whatever your parents tell you and you have to respect your elders. But the Saturn in Aries to me is like, fuck that. Um, Especially if it's an abusive situation.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Um, during the last Saturn Jupiter square, I had set a boundary with my family, uh,
Mm.
and someone in the family, and you know, on the Mexican side of my family, which is very much similar, and like family is
Yeah.
blood is thicker than water, and it's definitely caused a lot of friction.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I bet because that's just something you don't do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that
It,
takes a lot of bravery on
it,
your part, which is like, you know,
thank you.
difficult to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but echoing what you're feeling, like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when Saturn is in its domicile of Capricorn and Aquarius, and even in its exaltation in Libra, this is like upholding of those values of tradition, of family. But when Saturn is in Aries, you're like, wait a minute, these people are toxic,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
need to focus on myself.
You got to protect yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Sun in Cancer square to Neptune in Aries. So I have a Sun square Neptune natally, and this this aspect has been demonized by so many Western white men astrologers. And yes, it could be experienced as confusion, but ultimately you have to ask yourself whose imagination, whose dream are you living? Is it
Mm.
yours, or is it these societal pressures that you have to do this at a certain age, you have to get married and have two kids and blah, 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 right? You have to have a 401k and all these things. And this just could be a good day, June 22nd, to just question all of that.
Mm. I love that. To act in alignment with your heart and in compassion, you know?
Yes. On June 24th, the sun in Cancer will conjunct Jupiter in Cancer at 3 degrees.
Yeah.
This is
This
cute.
this is cute. Uh so
We're
it's
both like,
right? Oh, a Jupiter Kazemi, okay? I would just say I'm curious if this activates the USA's chart.
yes.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up while we're talking about it. Okay, what do you think in general about a Sun Jupiter moment?
I think this is like expansion of your beliefs of what you're growing of cancer rules the gut. It's like gut feeling, going with your heart. But in the context of the mundane astrology, just seeing how the Cancer stellium in the USA Sibley chart is manifesting more in a racist way, I feel like it's just going to expand that because Jupiter just expands what it touches, right?
Right. So this conjunction, I just pulled up the chart, is going to be on top of the USA's
Venus.
natal Venus in Cancer at 3 degrees. And their Jupiter, or I mean, our Jupiter is at 5 degrees of Cancer. So, yeah, it is. I think it's really interesting that it's activating that. It's this day is going to be important for
Mm-hmm.
the US for sure. And because it's on top of Venus, which rules our sixth house and our
Mm-hmm.
11th house. Um, hmm, interesting.
Like I'm also thinking of,
Protest? I wonder if there's a big protest.
yeah, I think for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So because it's ruling over the USA's sixth house, something with health, and I'm just thinking of like RFK Jr. doing something really weird.
Mm,
Um, and also the 11th house of like the community and groups, right? I think in response to that, that's when the people come together and do something.
Mm,
Hopefully, this is like what I'm manifesting.
I like it. I like it.
It's like protection, right? Jupiter is also protection
Yeah,
of the most vulnerable people.
absolutely. Absolutely.
The stellium is in the USA's eighth house of other people's money, resources, and taxes. I'm thinking Boston Tea Party, anyone?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Meet me in the Boston Harbor.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
I love how
Absolutely.
you're cheering me on.
Yes. It's time. We got to do what we're doing now isn't working. So let's
And
do
those were
it
just
now.
taxes on tea.
Literally. It's like, don't get me started. Okay. Um, but I will say the sun conjunct Jupiter. So this is a Kazemi. Jupiter sitting in the heart of the sun. It is being reborn. This is like a new moon moment. This could also bring recognition for some of your dreams and your goals, something you've worked
Mhm.
very hard towards, a very sweet relationship moment, something heartfelt. In general, I would
Mhm.
say this should bring some sort of welcomed news or feeling.
I hope so.
Hmm.
Not to go back to the USA Sibley chart, but just knowing what's coming in July with
Mm.
Uranus, I'm like, Jupiter rules the USA's first house and the fourth house. I feel like this might signal some kind of change to the homeland, like a breaking apart of the union, because the last, actually, Uranus was in Gemini at the founding of the United States, right? Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. So it's a Uranus return. And I feel like Uranus coming back here is also indicative of another I don't want to say it out loud, but basically the end result would be a breaking apart of the homeland.
Yeah, I think also travel for US citizens is going to become even more difficult. We're already seeing that US citizens like Hassan Piker was
Oh yeah,
detained
I saw that.
and asked about, his stance on Palestine and Israel and all, his political beliefs, which have nothing to do with his citizenship. Um, I think that is going to be another development once Uranus goes into Gemini, because that's all about travel as well.
Mm-hmm. Good
But
point.
you're all going to want to tune in next month because literally when Uranus goes into Gemini, that's like the main event for 2025, and we're going to cover it. So.
Mhm. And we're going to see each other next month.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We're gonna probably do it in person. We'll probably
I
do a
know, I
forecast in
can't
person.
wait.
So exciting.
Um, so the very next day on June 25th, there is a new moon in Cancer, and it's in the first decan, which is the Two of Cups. What do you think?
I think it's actually adorable.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. The new moon is sextile to Mars in Virgo. And yeah, it's at 4 degrees. So it's past that Saturn Neptune square. We might feel it a little bit, but for the most part, it is moving beyond it. And this is like our first new moon in Cancer that hasn't been opposite Pluto in Capricorn.
Or
I know
had co-present with Mars in Cancer.
co-present with Mars. Yeah, like something just you happening
Yeah.
to it, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
So I like this. I think this is a great day to release the past, a great day to nurture your relationships, take next steps in your
Mhm.
relationships, to pay attention to your dreams because your ancestors, the spirit team, the universe, whoever is screaming at you. You just literally
Mhm.
need to ask for guidance.
Mhm.
Um, and it has that like mobilizing and motivating energy as well because it is forming the sextile to Mars.
Mhm. I would do a ritual on this day because the moon is in its domicile in Cancer. Do some magic with salt water, take a bath, go to the ocean, do some water magic.
Water magic,
I
100%.
love the new moon in Cancer.
And chant your water before you
Yes.
drink it.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Because we are 75% of water, like our Mother Earth.
Mhm.
So just remember that, people. On the very next day, June 26th, Mercury in Cancer will sextile Uranus in Taurus at 29 degrees. We have a couple things going on this day.
Mhm.
The Sun in Cancer will sextile Mars in Virgo at 5 degrees. And then Mercury will enter Leo, um, which we will have a retrograde, I guess, later this summer.
Yeah. I think this is a wonderful day also. So this would be like another one of those sweet spots that we were talking about at the beginning of the forecast. Mercury and Uranus, when they come together, helps you think of out of the box solutions. It can also help broaden other people's minds. People are feeling more open-minded, so it's a great day to educate others, to uplift important news stories or organizations that deserve attention. You can come up with solutions to some of your problems. You could receive unexpected news or plans or invitations that feel like fun, or
Mm-hmm.
put you outside of your comfort zone, but also make you feel alive. You're like soaking up the human experience.
Mm-hmm. And Uranus is at the last degree. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think this is a crashing out degree.
Yeah, you might need a nap. This because Uranus is energizing, but it can also zap you of your energy as well.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point. I forgot it was at the 29 degrees.
And when Mercury and Uranus come together, it has that like electrifying energy,
Hmm.
just like frying your brain or something. And then we like the Sun in Cancer sextile to Mars in Virgo. That's also an activating harmonious aspect, 60-degree angle of a water and earth sign. Earth signs provide the container for the water. So this is a great day to take action in some way. Maybe clean your home, clean your space. And then Mercury enters Leo, which I do you have a Mercury in Leo? You do, right?
Indeed.
Do you, and I always think of Mercury and Leo's loving affirmations like, you're
Yes.
so beautiful, you're so great.
Yes. Yes. I love mirror work. You know,
Mirror work, yeah.
yeah, looking in the mirror, speaking your desires into existence,
Mhm.
complimenting yourself, whatever,
Mhm.
taking a selfie here or there every day. I don't know. Um, but yeah, when Mercury is in Leo, it is your cosmic permission slip to focus on yourself, to return to
Mhm.
creative projects, to focus on
Mhm.
personal goals, and to inspire others by sharing your gifts and talents. Whatever you're passionate about, you pursuing what you're passionate about is going to be a gift and an offering to this world. And other people need it and they want to soak up your light. So, kind of like tap into your pleasure.
Mhm. I just appreciate people with Leo placements because they just know how to be on a stage. They just know how to command the space. I know not every Leo feels this way, but I think what you said about like speaking it into the, I think you said something about speaking it into the universe. Just think of the version of yourself that is doing the thing and start just speak like that person. Because I also think of Leo as creative expression.
Absolutely.
The star, you are the main character of your show.
And it's major cheerleading energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. Yeah.
So the next day, oh, and you want to pay attention to what happens during Mercury in Leo because again, like there will be a retrograde at the end of the summer. Mercury in Leo will trine Saturn in Aries at 1 degree.
This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Great for signing a contract or making a commitment or discussing the future or even discussing boundaries in like a supportive way. If
Mm-hmm.
if you've been dealing with fallout from like mid-month and some
Mm-hmm.
of the emotional, roller coaster, this is a good time to kind of like get back on track.
And it will be well received.
Hmm.
This is a trine. Yep. I like that. It's like, let's lock it in
Yes.
energy.
Yeah.
June 28th, Mercury in Leo will then trine Saturn in Aries at 2 degrees.
Yeah. Oh, Neptune and Aries.
Sharing our dreams. Yes,
Yeah.
Neptune and Aries.
Yeah. Sharing our dreams, compassionate conversations, heightened intuition,
Mhm.
using your creative side of your mind can be healing.
Write something like write a this is a good day to write a screenplay, or if you're a writer and you write about fantasy, you can use this energy.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of creative inspiration in the air.
Mhm. Yes, creative inspiration. And then the very next day, which I think is our last transit, Mercury and Leo will be opposite Pluto in Aquarius at 3 degrees.
I think this is going to be a big news day. So we'll
Mhm.
want to pay attention to the news. Um, but this is a revealing moment. Secrets could be revealed. You might discuss power struggles. And it can also mark like a big, profound moment of self-awareness that either prompts you to embrace your shadow side or make different decisions about your own healing journey, or maybe even be accountable for some of the ways in which you've been stuck in certain patterns, right? Because these are like fixed signs.
Yeah.
But it can prompt transformation.
Yes. I also love how all the fixed signs just know how stubborn
Yeah.
and it's like nobody gets offended when I say that.
No.
Um, I'm just looking back to April 26th when Mars in Leo was opposite Pluto in Aquarius at 3 degrees. So I think this was the last Mars Pluto opposition.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You might get news from that time as well,
Absolutely.
because it's at the same degree.
Yep. Yep. It's totally true.
That's June, everyone. We hope that you have a safe and healing and expansive month with Jupiter in Cancer, which is, I think, the best transit of this year. And we will see you in July in IRL, Stephanie.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I can't wait. Oh my gosh. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next month. Bye.